Cross my heart, hope to die. To my lover, I'd never lie.
One eye slightly open because of the morning light that was coming out from the window. She slowly started opening her eyes and looked around. She was wearing her husband's shirt. Her husband was on the other side of the bed, sleeping on his stomach, bare shirt. Light that was coming from the outside made him look like a prince under beautiful sunlight. She looked at his face. His features were shining under the bright light. She remembered yesterday night. It was her wedding day yesterday, and she remembered how her husband showered her with his love. She blushed while thinking about yesterday. She slowly goes near him and started touching his face with her hands. She was thinking about how madly he was in love with her, how he went against his mother and married her because his mom wanted him to marry her friend's daughter. She shakes her head and stopped thinking about past. She was happy that she had him with her now and forever. She slowly goes near him, kisses him on his cheeks. Before she gets back, he holds her back and pulled her under him. I caught you, he said to her with his handsome smile. When you were weak, she said with her red eyes. Jackie, yeah, when you were admiring your husband. One smile looking at him. Jackie, your up early looks like someone got best sleep last night, he said while teasing her. Wayne closes her eyes tightly. She pushed him and got up from the bed. Wayne, I'm going to get fresh. She left from there without letting him answer anything. He laughed, looking at her reaction. Yesterday was the best day of his life. He got the best gift he could ask from God. His wish comes true. She's with him and for now forever. After an hour, they both went downstairs. It was silent downstairs. His parents were having lunch. JK, morning, Dad. Mom. Wayne also said morning to them. His dad looked at them and smiled. JK, Dad. Morning. Have a seat. His mom got up from the chair when they sat and went from there without saying anything to them. Wayne looked at Jungkook with guilty expression. Check it out. It's okay when child continue your breakfast. Give her some time, he said, assuring them. Check it out. By the way, when are you kids leaving for Italy? Check in 2 days. Dad, actually, there's an important meeting which I can't miss. Check it out. Come with me to the coffee. I'll hand over you some documents. Jake nodded and his dad left from there too. They enjoyed their meal. When Jungkook was done, he whispered to Ryan. JK, babe, I have something urgent to do. I'll be back in 2 hours. Be ready until then. We're going on a halal date. She laughed at him. He smirked and he winked at her and left from there. After that, one was alone in the living room. Jungkook and one went in the vicinity. She went and in terms of student and Jungkook, she got up and went to the kitchen. When she heard from Jungkook that his mother likes coffee.
She wanted to lighten her mood. She made coffee and went to her room. She took a long breath before knocking through door, but no answer came. She slightly opened the door and entered the room. Her mother-in-law was with a young girl in her late 20s with red hairs. They were talking about something. Yin, Mom, I made a coffee for you. She caught her mother-in-law attention. She looked at her with her red eyes which were showing true anger. She got up and went towards Yin. Mrs. Jian, how dare you call me mom? She shouted at her, which makes Yin frightened, and she threw the tray from Yin's hands. Hot coffee was spilled on Yin's shirt. You don't deserve to be my daughter-in-law. She held Yin's hand and dragged her outside in anger. The other girl was sitting behind and laughing at what is happening. Yin was begging constantly to leave her hand. The coffee also made her skin burn, but her mother-in-law wasn't listening to her. Mrs. Jian, you know where a cheap girl like you belongs to. She pushed her outside in the terrace. Yin's foot also tilted and she fell on the floor. Her ankle sprained. Maids were watching. They tried to help her, but Mrs. Jian one stare made them stand on their place. Yin's cheeks were full of tears. Yin's heart was wrenched. What was her fault that she is facing all of this? Mrs. Jian, you don't deserve him. This is your punishment. He is blind and soon he will realize his mistake and leave you. She closed the door and went inside. It was raining outside. Her figure started to become wet in the rain. Everything that had happened made her scared. She was shaking under the rain. It was the first day after her wedding. She didn't imagine it to be going this way. She shakily tried to get up from the ground. She got some wounds on her elbow and knee. There was no shade in the terrace. She tried to get inside the house, but the door was locked. She knocked on the door multiple times. She looked at the window where the same red-haired girl was standing and telling her with signs that she deserves this. She laughed on Yin and left from there. Yin was sobbing. She leaned back against the wall and slowly started lowering herself to the floor. The rain was pouring on her small figure. She was murmuring Jungkook's name constantly. He was the only warmth for her. Her head was in her knees, and she was shaking badly while crying with hiccups. GK Pav. He left from home because he wanted to surprise Yin. He couldn't wait to make her first day after marriage more memorable. He knows she is the only one for him in this life. He was exactly here after 2 hours. He entered in the home with bouquet in his hand and went to his room. When he entered the room, she wasn't there. He thought she must be in bathroom, but she wasn't there too. His mind was giving him some mixed signals of alarm, but he ignored them and went outside to find Yin. GK. Babe, where are you? He tried to call Yin, but there was no answer of her. His mother came outside after listening to his voice. He asked the maid if she saw Yin. GK. Where is Yin? She hesitatingly looked at Mrs. Jian. Mr. Jian, she is where she belongs to, she said with her stern voice. GK. What do you mean, Mom? She ignored him and didn't reply. He again asked the maid. GK. Where the hell is my Yin? Tell me, he said with his stiffened jaw.
She pointed at balcony. Jake looked at his mom in anger, trying to find what he is thinking is true. He hurriedly went to the terrace and unlocked it. He looked around the terrace and found a small figure sitting on the floor, head in her knees.
Shaking under the rainy storm, the bouquet from his hand fell down on the floor. He hurriedly went towards her. JK whined. He bent on its knees and held her face. She was in the rain. Her skin was freezing. Her eyes were closed. He patted her cheeks, but she didn't reply.
JK Princess, open your eyes. She wasn't answering. He hurriedly carried her in his arms and ran outside. His mother was standing in his way. He looked at her angry with his red eyes.
GK, how could you do that to her? Anger could be seen in his red blood-shot eyes. Pray that nothing happens to her or you'll never see my face again. He took her to his room and called the doctor immediately. He couldn't wait for the doctor and change her drenched clothes. While changing her saw burnt mark on her skin. He was surprised. After that, doctor came and gave her some injections. The doctor told him her temperature can become worse. Give her more warmth as he could, or it will become dangerous for her. Jungkook was only thinking how couldn't he protect her. He was thinking what else his mom did to her. He looked at the figure who was lying on the bed. He wanted to make this day memorable for her, but what just happened today? He got up angrily and went outside. His mom was sitting in the living room. GK, how long? He shouted with his angriest voice. How long she had been there. His mom was sitting with unapologetic face, like she didn't do anything wrong. Maid told him for 2 hours. GK, why did you do this? What was her fault in this? What else you did to her? He came near her mom and stand in front of her. You're not my mother anymore. GK dad came and asked, GK dad, what happened? Why are you shouting? GK, ask your wife what she did to my wife. GK dad looked at his mom. GK dad, what you did to her? She stands up and tell Mrs. Jeon what she deserves. Jungkook tightly closed his eyes on hearing her answer. Jungkook, she locked up my wife in the terrace for 2 hours in the rain. She was drenching in the rain for 2 hours and she had not even apologetic. His dad was shocked upon hearing what just she did. His mom, she is not worthy of being my daughter-in-law. She trapped my son and now he is against me. A slap was echoed in the hall. She silenced. His dad slapped his mom. Mr. Jeon, shut up. I was tolerating you because I thought you would understand your son, but what you just did showed your true colors. I am going to divorce you in this way. You will not be her mother-in-law. Get lost from here.
His mom was shocked. She had covered her cheek with one hand. Jungkook closed his eyes tightly and went from there in anger.
GK, he decided not to stay here anymore. He carried his wife in his arms carefully and takes her to the car. He took her to his private penthouse and laid her on his master bedroom. He was checking her time to time if her temperature became normal. He covered her with blankets. She was still cold. He made porridge for her. GK, princess, get up, open your mouth, eat this, you'll feel better. He sat beside her lying figure and brushed her hair. Her watery eyes were slightly opened. He put spoon in front of her mouth. She gradually ate the porridge with his hands. He put the bowl beside her and looked back at her again. GK, I'm sorry. I wanted to make your day memorable. I don't know why all of this happened. I'll never leave you alone. Again he attached his forehead to her, and one tear fell down from his eyes on her cheeks. She was still cold. Her temperature wasn't becoming normal. He was getting worried for her. Her lips were turning to blue. She was shaking badly. She needed warmth to make her temperature normal. He pet off his clothes, threw them away and went under the blanket. He gently hugged his wife who was shaking badly and removed her clothes too. He was rubbing her back soothingly. Her forehead was on his chest. He was giving her his warmth and relaxing her. It helped her, and her temperature started to become normal. Slowly, they both went into deep sleep, so close to each other.
The next morning, Jungkook's eyes slowly moved. He rubbed his eyes and opened them gradually. He looked at his wife was still sleeping on his chest. He checked her temperature, and it was normal. He gently stroked her hair.
Yin's eyes started slowly opening. She looked at the mom who was looking at her with so much adoration in his eyes. GK, are you feeling good? He asked in his deep voice. Yin nodded, softly looking in his eyes. He softly stroked her cheeks with his right hand. GK, I am sorry. I was scared seeing you in that condition. You didn't deserve that. I am angry on myself. I wasn't there to protect you. I know I am the worst husband. Don't leave me, please. I don't know what happened to mom. Yin put her finger on his lips to shush him down. A tear slipped from his eyes while telling, Yin, I am all okay now. Don't blame yourself, Yin said with a smile. GK, I promise you'll never be alone in the future. We're leaving for Italy tomorrow. Yin, but mom, GK, don't talk about her. I just want to go far away from this place with you and me alone. He moved forward and kissed her on her forehead. GK, I love you so much.